Hello dear students, today we'll discuss lesson number 4 from Footprints Without Feet. The lesson which we are going to study today is a question of trust. Let us talk about the introductory part of the text. This is a story about a man named Horace Denby who is 50 years old, and everyone around him thinks he is a good and an honest man. He used to build logs and used to earn enough profit so that he could hire 2 servants to help him. He was sent to jail once about 15 years ago because he used to commit robberies every year. See, this person who was sent to the jail for committing robberies, and the same person is considered as a very honest and a good person. This year, when he goes to a house for robbery as usual, he meets as usual, means the way he does every year. This year, something happens very strange. He meets a woman who pretends to be the owner of the house. Later, when he leaves from there and is arrested after 2-3 days, he comes to know the truth of that lady. Now, it's very interesting to know. We'll talk about that. First, let's see some information about the author. Victor Canning was born on 16th June 1911. He was a prolific British writer of novels and thrillers who flourished with his career in 1950s, 1960s and 1970s. So, here is the explanation of the chapter. Horace Denby was a 50 years old man, was unmarried and lived with his housekeeper. The housekeeper used to worry about his health, although he was fit and fine, but he used to have hay fever attacks in summer. He used to make logs and used to earn a profit that was enough for him to hire 2 helpers for his work. Now, everybody used to think that this man is a very good and honest citizen. But nobody was knowing that he had gone to jail about 15 years ago and served a sentence in the prison library. Now, when he was serving his sentence in the prison or in the jail library, he developed his love for the books. And that was the love for rare and expensive books. Every year he used to steal money that would last him for a year. So this type of robbery he used to do, that once in a year he would rob a house, and the money which he could get from that was enough for him to survive for the whole year. And with the rest of the money, he used to buy books through a secret agent. So see, this is a very strange type of thief or a robber, we can say, who is so passionate about books and especially about very expensive books. Now, this year, during summers of July, he was sure that he would steal as easily without getting caught as he used to do every other summer. He felt that, everything will happen so normally. He studied the house. He was so smart that he used to study the house before entering or before actually going for the robbery. So he studied the house for over 2 weeks, studying the smallest details such as electric wiring, paths and garden area. That specific day, the servants who were supposed to stay back on the days when the family went to London. But what happened? Those servants, they did not stay back. They went for a movie, and that was the opportunity for Horace. Now, Horace saw the servants leaving, and he was so happy. Of course, he's going to be happy as he will get the opportunity to enter or to step inside the house. Instead of being worried about the tickle in his nose. Now, why there is tickle in his nose? Due to the hay fever. But he is not at all worried or bothered about that. Instead of that, he is happy because he is now going to rob the house. He then left with a bag that had his tools. According to Horace, there were about £15,000 worth of jewels in the safe. Now, this also he is knowing. He is having all data in his hands. He thought that even if he sold them one by one, he would get at least £5,000 that would keep him happy and content for 1 year. So he will be happy with that much amount, that much money, and it will be enough for 1 year. He also thought about the 3 books that were coming up in the autumn and thought that now he would have the money needed to buy those books. Okay, he is knowing which books are going to be there in the market. He is also knowing that the money he is having is enough to buy those books. He saw the shopkeeper of the Grange hang the keys on the hook outside the kitchen door. He took the key with a glove on his hands so as not to leave any fingerprints. So he is very smart. He is taking care of these things. He opened the door of the Grange and used to be very careful about the fingerprints. He then saw a small dog sleeping in the kitchen. The dog moved a bit, made a noise, and then moved his tail in a friendly way. Horace then said, "All right, Sherry." Now see, he is very smart enough that he is knowing the name of that dog too. He says that, "Sherry, all right." And this shows that how much care he has taken before the actual robbery. He knew that the trick to keep dogs quiet was to call them by their names and show them a bit of love. If we show our love for the animals, they will easily be, they'll be easily helping him. Okay, so that's why he is calling the dog by its name, and he feels that it will help him to keep the dog quiet. The safe of the Grange was in the drawing room, hidden behind a painting. Looking at the painting, he thought that he should collect paintings rather than books. But he then thought that it would be better to collect books in a small house because pictures required larger spaces. So why he is not collecting pictures? Because he knows that he is having very small house where he cannot collect or keep these paintings. But the books don't require so much of space, so he can manage the books very easily. Then as he moved forward, he saw a bowl of flowers on the table. His nose was tickling due to the hay fever and the smell of the flowers. He arranged his tools and saw that he had about 4 hours until the housekeepers returned. He had fully done with the calculations. He is knowing that when and what and how I have to go ahead. So everything was planned, and he was knowing that I have 4 hours before the housekeepers turn back to the home. The safe would not have been difficult to open, as he had lived with safes and locks all his life. Okay, so he is smart enough. He is having no difficulty to open the safe. And the burglar system, he is knowing the burglar system of the house. It was not a good one. He went into the hall to cut the wires of the burglar system. He again sneezed loudly as the smell of the flowers came to him again. He was thinking to himself that how foolish rich people were when they had valuable things. As he recalled that the whole plan of the house, including the information about the safe, was given in a magazine. Okay, so the people from the family or the owner of the house is given the details of their house in the magazine. He feels that how fool these people are. How can they give their information in the magazine? So it's like giving an open invitation to the robbers. He saw that The smell of the flowers was constantly making him sneeze loudly. So he put a handkerchief on his face and continued his work. Then somebody from the doorway asked him, "Now see, somebody is there. Actually, there should not be anybody. So let us see what happens." Then somebody from the doorway asked him that was it a cold or was it hay fever? Means why you are sneezing? Why are you sneezing? Are you having some cold or are you having hay fever? What is the reason? Horace actually responded to the question very quickly. He replied, "Hay fever," and sneezed again. The other person then continued and told him that he could cure it provided he knew which flower caused the allergy. Okay. The person has told him how he can cure it, and the additional information is also provided by that person that the person or the thief, or we can say Horace, should know that which are the flowers causing him this allergy, and that he should see a doctor. Even the person told him that he should see a doctor if he wanted to be a good thief. Then the other person said that his sneezing, see, a writer continuously is saying that the other person or the lady who was there, we are actually not provided so much of information. We are not provided with that. The writer had purposely not disclosed any of the details. So we all know that she was a lady, a young and beautiful lady. Then the other person said that his sneezing could be heard from the top floor of the house. The voice was calm and firm. The person who was talking to him, her voice was calm and firm. Then he got a bit nervous as he saw a woman standing in the doorway. The woman was young, pretty, and she was dressed in red color. She walked towards him and arranged the decorations kept on the fireplace. Then she ordered the dog to stay away and said that people might be thinking that she was away for a month, but she was back in time and didn't expect a burglar to welcome her back at her house. How smartly she is talking to him. When we read these lines, we just feel that the lady is the owner of the house, and as if she has come back or she has come home so early. And she is even telling that the burglar must not be expecting me here, but I'm here, I'm back home. Horace was a bit hopeful as he saw that the woman was amused, okay, rather than being panicked on seeing a burglar. So that was something, giving hope to him that the lady is not annoyed, is not so angry, but is, speaking very calmly. So he was a bit hopeful because of that. He thought that if he treated her well and didn't do anything wrong, then she might let him go. Okay, so what he felt that if I'll talk to her properly in a very polite way, if I treat her well, if I didn't do anything wrong, she will let me go. He was thinking like that. He also told her amusingly that he also didn't expect to meet a family member either, as he had thought that there was no one at home. As the lady told him that I'm not expecting a burglar at home, the burglar or Horace also says that I was also not expecting somebody or a family member here. Then she said that she realized what an inconvenience she was to him and asked him that what would he do now. Okay, She is saying that, oh, I have become an inconvenience. I am troubling you. I am interrupting. I have disturbed you. Okay, so what is he going to do now? She is asking him. He replied that at first he wanted to run away. The woman replied that he could do so, but she would call the police and let them know that he was robbing her house, and they would catch him. Okay. Horace replied that he would obviously cut the telephone wires first, and then he would do something to her so that she was not able to do anything for a few hours. Okay, so this is the dialogue going on between these two people, the woman and the burglar. She looked at him seriously and asked him that would he hurt her. Okay, she's so smart. She is asking him that is he going to hurt her. Then Horace replied that he was just saying that to frighten her. Means he is not actually going to do so. He was not frightened by what he said. Sorry, she was not frightened by what he said. And Horace then told her that it would be better that she forgot that she ever saw him and let him go. So this is how he is trying to convince her that he is asking her to let him go and to forget everything. Suddenly she spoke in a sharp and loud voice. What she says, why should she let him go? That why should I allow you to go from here? He was there to rob her, okay? As if she is the owner of the house, and she is talking to him that if you are there to rob my house, how should I allow you to go? And if she spared him, if suppose she allows him to go, he would go. She spared him, he would go and rob someone else. Okay, if she allows him to go, what he would do? He would go and he would rob someone else's house. She said that the society needed to be protected from people like him. He smiled and said that he was not a threat to the society, as he stole only from those people who had a lot of money. See how courageously he is answering, and in a very amusing way he is talking to her. What he says that I'm not a threat to the society, because he says he steals money only from the people who are having a lot of money. Also, he stole for a good reason. And he hated even the thought of going to a prison. She laughed at his reply, and he was begging her, he was continuously asking her not to call the police. Horace was begging only because he thought that he had convinced her to let him go. He was desperately asking the woman not to go to the police and that he would surely stop robbing people. He is trying to convince her. He promised her and told her that he meant what he said, that he is going to follow what he has told her. She then looked closely towards him and asked him that was he really afraid of going to the prison? She shook her head and said that she always liked the wrong kind of people. Now this is something strange to hear from her. This was an indication for Horace that she was also a thief, but he did not pick the clue. What she says? She shook her head and she said that she always liked the wrong kind of people. It shows that she herself is a thief. The woman picked up a cigarette box made of silver and took out a cigarette. Horace thought that if he pleased her, then she might help him. So he quickly removed his gloves. He was trapped. He removed his gloves and gave her his cigarette lighter, and here he fails. Then he asked her that would she let him go, and pointed the lighter towards her cigarette. So this is how he is trying to convince her, he is trying to please her. She replied that yes, she would let him go, but only if he would do something that she wanted. Horace quickly replied that he would do anything for her. The lady said that before going to London, she had promised her husband that she would put all the jewelry in the bank, but left it in the safe at the Grange. She had to go to a party now, but had forgotten the code of the locker of the safe. Horace said that he would do it, but he would have to break the locker, to which she replied that he need not worry about that, as her husband won't in a month time. Husband won't come back around or in a month's time, and that she would get it repaired by them. Okay, so before husband comes, she will get it repaired, so there is no problem, he can break the locker, she said positively. Horace broke open the safe within an hour, gave her the jewels, and left happily, thinking that he was safe now, that he can, the lady has not called police, and now he is safe. Though he could not rob the house, but at least he is safe from that lady. For 2 days he kept his promise to the lady that he won't steal. But on the 3rd day, he thought about the books that he wanted to buy and started thinking that he would have to look for another locker to steal from. So this is how he is, caught because of removing his clothes. He is caught because of the fingerprints he has left there. And after robbing the house, he realizes that the lady was actually not the owner, but she was the robber, she was a thief. Okay, so the way he trusted the lady, it proved, a great failure for him. And here raises a question that whether he or a thief should trust in a thief. Okay, so this is how he was made fool by the lady. She was not the owner, but she was a thief present in the same house where he went to rob, or where he went for the robbery. Okay, so this is a beautiful story titled as A Question of Trust, written by Canning. And here are a few words to study that you will be able to see in the PPT. Study all the words carefully. Please note them down in your notebook. Study them well. Thank you so much.